What's up, y'all? Chris Lotus here. Hope y'all are doing all right. And this is Doomed from the Start, Episode 1 Revisited. Now, this is gonna kinda sorta be a follow-up to the original episode. This is basically where I'm going to make corrections, clarifications, and even address a few comments because for the most part, I really enjoyed looking through the comment section of that video. Probably the most fun I've ever had looking through any comment section because a lot of people made some really good points one way or another. If I don't get to your comment in this video, don't take offense. It's just that there are so many good points that were made. If I replied to all of them, this would be like a stream long video and I don't want to keep you all glued here for that long. So starting off, we're kicking it off with a big correction because I don't know if I made this exactly clear in the first episode or anywhere else, but, and now that I think about it, I'm making a clarification as well as a correction. Doomed from the Start is meant to explore things in fighting games that are disasters from the beginning and were disasters in the end. And with that being said, I came across a bit of information that may imply that I might have jumped the gun with Shun'ei. Now, let me direct you over here. So if you look over here at the Gaming Sim website, which got an interview with Ogura-san, the creative director of KOF 15, scroll and right here. If you recall in the Doomed video, I cited this towards the end. The question from the interviewer, the King of Fighters was probably the first fighting game series with complex character writing. What about KOF 15? And Ogura-san answers, this is the final chapter of the story we started with in KOF 14. It will explore many plot points while lifting the veil behind the mystery of verse. Now, whether or not you think KOF 15 did a good job with that, I'll leave you to decide. That's not what this video is about. But yeah, this right here was what made many people, myself included, think that the Shun'ei saga was completely over. Now, most people have claimed that this was like a mistranslation of sorts, but every time somebody talks about it being a mistranslation, they can't provide proof as to how it was. If you have proof that it was a mistranslation, do share below. I'll be definitely willing to look at it. However, I do think there might be a bit of a misinterpretation on the part of people like me and others that thought that this just spelled the end. However, I do think there is a possibility that he'll get another game, and with me saying that, you're probably wondering, what do you mean? Didn't you just hear what you just read? Well, I stumbled across something else when I was looking up stuff after the video had been put out. Here. I want to give a special thanks to Scotia. I know Scotia didn't write this interview or do this interview, but however, Scotia was the first person that I happened to come across that put this interview up against the Gaming Sim one. By the way, I know a lot of you that watch me also watch Scotia, but if you don't, do check out Scotia. He does really good fighting game content talking about characters and lore and other interesting topics. The quote we want to look at is right here. We thought of ending the Shun'ei saga with this game being KOF 15, but we are still not sure. Now, when I stumbled across this article, I wondered why weren't people constantly citing this article to counter what was in the Gaming Sim article? I'm pretty sure some people have, but it didn't really seem like it was spread all that much. Then again, I'm not on Twitter and such like that, so maybe I just didn't see. I will accept fault on that. However, I do think I see one reason as to why that really didn't happen. If we scroll up on this article, we see that it was posted February 16th, and also if you look at the language down here, the King of Fighters will be officially available for the PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC on February 17th, 2022. So this was put out around the time early access period was still going. But if we look at the Gaming Sim interview, if you scroll up, this was posted February 28th. Now, I can't find much of anything here that like implies when this might have been done. I don't know if it was done the day of, because in most cases, the posted date and the date in which it took place, sometimes they're the same and sometimes there's a bit of a difference. But I can't really find anything that pinpoints an exact time when this interview was done. So I'm thinking maybe people saw the posted dates and seeing that the Gaming Sim interview was a little bit later than the Famitsu/Siliconera one. I think people implied that SNK might have just finally made a decision, told Ogura to say it, and then boom, it's over. However, with that being said, I don't think it's confirmed if it's over or not with that being there. Even though it was a couple of days after the release date, these interviews were still done fairly close together within the same month too. So the reason I bring up all of this is because with Doom from the Start, the series, I want to at least have the character or the game actually have a complete run before judging them. So I think that I might have jumped the gun to a degree. And for that, I apologize to you all because I want to make the best quality content possible, whether that's with editing or whether that's with citing sources, making points, all of that. I'm not on here to manufacture any controversies or any crises or anything. So if it seemed like the Doom from the Start video was going in that direction, I do apologize. And I really wish that I had just waited a bit and not jumped the gun here. But once again, I'm not afraid to admit that I messed up on that. But yeah, with that bit of information right there, it's unknown if whether or not the Shun'ei arc is over or not. I know a lot of people are hoping it is, a lot of people hoping that it isn't, but part of me feels a bit down about actually rushing that episode because I don't want to put a rush job on here. I don't want to do that. So here's where I'll reply to a couple of your comments because like I said, there were a lot of strong points made one way or another. Let's get right into it. From Broken Moon Studios, 2 more things I feel contributed to his lukewarm reception were his teammates and theme in KOF 14. I know there's many people who like Mason-kun because he is cute, but he's honestly pretty boring and gimmicky. I don't agree with the boring and gimmicky thing. I know the whole sleepy yet powerful, and I know some instances they're sleepy and lazy but they're super smart. It's like an anime trope, but it translates so well into like animations and like his attacks. I think for at least being a second banana to freaking Shun'ei, I think it's actually pretty good. And it's even more interesting seeing that naturally with the main character and the sidekick, the main characters usually got a grip on things. They win a whole bunch of times, and even when they win all the time, they gotta get stronger, and then they have somebody who's always trying to catch up with them. Mason-kun actually dominates Shun'ei when they spar, unless that kind of switched up from 14 to 15. I find that kind of cool, but you know. Tung Fu Ru makes a lot of sense from a narrative perspective, but very few people actually want to play as him. I've always taken as like Tung Fu Ru is actually very important in storyline, but he's not that prominent or popular when it comes to the audience, unless you are a very hardcore SNK Fatal Fury nerd fanboy, whatever say you. Because Tung Fu Ru is the godfather of like a lot of different characters' fighting styles from Geese, Terry, Andy, Jeff Bogart, Jin Chanrei, and now Shun'ei and Mason-kun. So that's just kind of, it's a weird dynamic, but I mean, I don't think it's that often that sensei characters get the credit that they deserve. Benimaru is frankly the most interesting of his teammates and gives Team Hero a lot more charisma than Team China. And they also got somebody who probably carried them to let me not make fun of him, but I was gonna say he carried them to their first KOF tournament win, but let me not make fun of him. Compare Team China in 14 to Team Japan, all the K-Dash teams, and all the Ash teams, and it becomes clear he was never meant to stand out. I don't really agree with the point about never meant to stand out, because one thing I do regret not putting in the Doom from the Start video is there was a quote from SNK, I forgot who exactly said it, but basically they figured that the era of headband wearing and martial artists and gi wearing protagonists is passe. That was another reason that they wanted to make a very different protagonist. And apparently that was one of the ideas that led to Shun'ei's creation. I don't know about never meant to stand out. I just think SNK didn't do that good of a job with him. But then again, on principle alone, he does stand out. I just, you might cite what I said in the video where it's like he stands out in some not so good ways. But when comparing them to Team Japan, the K-Dash teams, and the Ash teams, I actually get it. As for the music, Jesus Christ, their 14 theme is beyond forgettable. Laid back, chill, traditional Chinese music is not what I associate with a young, energetic protagonist from a fighting game. Imagine if SNK gave them a theme similar to the Stage 5 song from Mushihime-sama Futari. It's an amazing mix of techno and Asian folkloric music. If you haven't heard that song, I highly encourage you to do so. Team Hero's theme in 15 is way better, probably one of the best themes in the game, and a lot of it is thanks to, once again, Benimaru. I am not the first one to notice that this theme shares similarities with Benimaru's themes in the Nest Saga. A good choice, I feel. I've seen some people talking about that, and yeah, really good creative choice. These issues definitely drag Shun'ei down in conjunction with his individual problems. If 16 continues his saga, I really hope SNK seriously considers taking a different approach with him. Yes, 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 yes. And like I said, after the information I shared earlier, it's a possibility. From Slade Joseph Wilson, Shun'ei's design is alright. He doesn't dress like a standard archetype. His clothes are supposed to be against normal fashion, a fashion that's based off of Chinese fashion, as I mentioned, mixed with an anime school aesthetic. I do think the story mode was what hurt him the most. Also, KOF 14's haters assume that everything related to 14 is crap. He was meant to appeal to the Asian market, so that's fine. I get sick of the KOF fandom crying about new characters when a new gen starts. Now, that's another point that I actually regret leaving out of the video, but I wanted this to be more about Shun'ei's run as the protagonist of KOF at this point, which, by the way, another clarification. This is not a knock on just Shun'ei, the character. The video is more of a critical look at Shun'ei's run as the main protagonist of KOF. The character has more than enough chances to get better if they so choose to bring him back, which I think they will. With that being said, the point that I regret not putting in the Doom from the Start video was the fact that I think a lot of the misdirected flack that Shun'ei got came off of the fact that lots of people were very critical of KOF 14, and seeing that that's the game he debuted in, a lot of misdirected hostility can kind of branch off from that. I don't want to dwell too much into that because this gets back into that endless old school versus new school stuff, but I do think that the fact that 14 was so polarizing, I think also might have resulted in some misdirected flack towards Shun'ei as a character. The thing is, and everybody has to understand this, with him being the main protagonist, a lot of people are going to expect more from him. Like, people who are really invested in the series, they're gonna expect more from the guy who's meant to be the face of the current age versus your joke characters like Chang and Choi, which I really hope SNK doesn't just drop everything because of all the hate and just relegate him to like a comedy character or something. I really hope they don't go in that direction, because like I said, I don't hate the character at all. I think he's overhated in many aspects. However, I still feel that SNK really mishandled him in the beginning and during his debut. As I mentioned in the video, this wasn't the first time they were uncertain about a protagonist. Now, I know people will get upset with me comparing him to Rock Howard, but I mean, I'm doing that because they weren't certain about Rock Howard in the beginning, but they were like, let's do it anyway. And going back to the point from earlier, I think the success of Rock also had to do with the fact that they had linked him to somebody like Terry Bogard, arguably the biggest name in SNK fighting games, period. I would respond to a couple more, but I think I've ran my mouth so much and I don't want this video to be ridiculously long. But yeah, so just to put it simply, I appreciate if you enjoyed the first episode of Doom from the Start, but I still feel like in a ways that episode might have been a mistake, because for something like this, I want to wait until a character's run is up, and seeing the way these interviews have been put out, I can't confirm that's the case. Like, yeah, the Gaming Sim interview came out sometime after the Famitsu interview came out. That's still pretty close together, and I find that a little suspicious. But yeah, if they do keep on going with Shun'ei, KOF 16 and story better be a banger, or who knows, maybe they might have extra story as DLC. That'd be awesome. I'm all down for it, but that's all I got for y'all for this one. Let me know what you think below, and until next time, y'all take care of yourselves, be safe out there, be cool to each other. Jumanji.